Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. New Mutants, number 4 from 1983. You know, these faces just look at Karma, my goodness, on the corner boxes here. So, um we're continuing the X-Men in reading order and the X universe. So, I have a couple of playlists. I have a X-Men playlist that just has the X-Men. I have a New Mutants playlist that has the New Mutants, and I have an X universe playlist that contains both, all of it in reading order. So if you do the X Universe one, you will follow along with both. And eventually, I'm going to be adding Wolverine. I'm going to be adding X Factor. I'm going to be adding lots of stuff. Everything done in the order that should or would be read in. So, got this cover here by Bob McLeod. Bob McLeod does the inks inside, but Sal Buscema, or Buscema, is the penciler. So, uh, Chris Claremont, writer, of course. We got Glynis Wein and Tom Orzechowski and Louise Simonson. Yes, I know it says Jones. And Jim Shooter. So the same colorist and letterer editor from X-Men. So we got a telephone ringing, and Stevie picks up. Hello? Hi, Stevie. And so the title is going through. So who's scaring Stevie? Anyway, so you know who this is. You know what I want. Soon I'll come get it. Bye. And then the hang up here. So, the sooner the better, you little creep, so I can rip your heart out, says Stevie. Another call? Asks Karma. Yes. It's the same as the other, and she slams the phone and says, yes. Stevie, summon the police again, please. And Stevie says, why bother, Shan? They already said they can't do anything. Verbal harassment simply isn't a serious enough crime. That is true, even in 2024. But boy, in social media, they'll take you off immediately. So, but as far as the police go, not really much they can do. Perhaps the New Mutants or the X-Men can help. And Stevie says, you can, Shan, by staying out of it. This is my problem. I'll handle it on my own. And so we got this guy here. And Karma says something in French here. It's absurd. We are your friends. And no, I do not speak French, but French is a romantic language, and because I know Spanish, I can figure and weasel my way through French, Italian, and Portuguese. So I'm able to kind of figure it out. And so, anyway, Karma continues. Your friend Stevie, we care about you. Excuse me, Miss Hunter. Hi, Shan. Am I intruding? Peter Bristow, how'd you get in here? And he says, the door was open. I figured I'd tidy up the studio before class. Thanks, Skeeter. I appreciate it. And you can see Stevie. She looks like a giant there, kind of pushing Karma outside. We'll talk more tonight, okay, Shan? I'm sorry I snapped at you. Scoot now, child. Xavier is expecting you, says Stevie. And so we're at the mansion, and you can see the snow here. This is for your rain catch. They're playing frisbee with rain here, and of course she kind of transforms a little bit and return it here. And of course, Chris Claremont is giving us exposition, but we are not going to go through it, or this would take forever reading everything here. And so She catches it, but runs into Roberto here, and then licks him here. Score one for the lady, huh, Bobby? I wish I had my camera, says Danny. I'm glad you don't, says Sunspot here. And so he throws the frisbee again, and you can see Cannonball going for it, and he catches it here, but he heads into the tree. Luckily, he is pretty invulnerable when he's in that form here. And they're all laughing at him, and of course, he basically says that I can't be hurt when I'm doing this, but it can't even make a lousy turn here. And Professor X gets in their head and says, "Students, this is Professor Xavier. Please join me in my study at once." And Cannonball's like, "Shoot, with my luck, I probably smashed the professor's pet tree. I'm still not used to his telepathic projections. They scare the beans out of me." And then he says, "Every time I see Xavier, I want to run away and hide, or face him with my knife. Try as I might, I cannot forget that not long ago he tried his best to kill me." By the way, this story takes place after the X-Men have returned home from the Brood, as I mentioned in the X Universe playlist. You'll see this following X-Men 167, I believe, here. So, and so they are going through here, and here is Lilandra, the Empress of the Shi'ar, or ex-Empress, because her sister's now the new Empress here. And as the kids are coming, she says, "You look as though you've been enjoying yourself. There will be mulled cider and sandwiches for you in the living room after Charles has finished his talk. I'll see you then." And so of course we get introduction on everybody here. So Bobby says, "You are too kind, gracious lady." And Sam, "I know she's a friend," he's from Kentucky, "but she still gives me the willies." And then Rain, "Your Majesty, you should not be doing the work of a common housemaid. 'Tis na right." And Danny is like, "Why not, Rain? Don't we rate it?" And Lilandra kind of smiles. "Always a rebel. Danny, you remind me of myself here." And so Xavier can walk, but he's in the wheelchair because he can't. He gets pain in his legs. So, and he says, "Thank you for responding so promptly. Sir Shan is not here. We will wait for her then." And Danny's like, "That's not. What's this all about? It's not fair. Xavier can read our minds, spy on our every secret, but we know nothing of his." And Sam's still upset about the tree. "I'm gonna get it. I know I am." And here comes Shan. Pardon me, monsieur. Have I missed anything?" "No, Shan. However, now that the new mutants are assembled, I shall begin," he says here. So, I love the screen tones being applied here. So he starts. "As you know, my actions in the recent months have been governed by the fact that I was possessed by a malevolent alien life form. The Brood are parasitical species." And so we kind of gonna get a bit of exposition on everything what happened and with the Brood here. So we're kind of go through this here. And so he continues here. I'm surprised he's wearing the towel or the blanket because because of the circulation. That's to keep him warm, but he doesn't need them because they're actually working. But anyway, lets them know that they're mutants and needs to teach them the proper way. And he says, "Some of you do not trust me with good reason. Under the influence of the Brood embryo, I tried to kill you. Those days are past. I am myself again, but I can understand your reluctance to trust me now. I will not force you to stay, but I hope you will." So he's letting them go if they so wish. And so Danny says, "I never heard him speak from the heart before. There were times I wonder if he had a heart." And so Danny says, I speak for myself, Professor, and I believe for my friends. What happened between us wasn't your fault, and we who've been unfairly condemned ourselves have no right to do the same to you. We may not work out, but we all, you and us, deserve a decent chance. So for better or worse, we'll stay. She says here, and again, the wonderful screen tone being employed here. Oh, love it. Absolutely love it here. And Professor X says, Shan, is anything wrong? Contrary to the popular thought, I do not eavesdrop on my students' thoughts, but I cannot help noticing the considerable surface agitation on yours. And she says, it's Stevie Hunter. I fear she is in danger. Someone has been telephoning her, making vague threats. Neither the police nor the telephone company have been able to find the, I don't know what that word is, or stop his calls. I think it's like son of a bitch in French, cochon, or pig, cochon, from lechon. So I think that is pig, or stop his calls. I offered aid. Stevie refused. I mean to go ahead regardless. She has risked her life for us in the past. Can we do any less for her? And Danny says, count me in, Shan, with or without the professor's blessing. So, oh, the screen tone looks beautiful. Part of me kind of hopes he says no. And Xavier says, I heard that, as I suspect Danny intended. She's deliberately challenging me. Rebellion is natural at her age, but she's carrying things too far. I must deal with the problem, and soon. Are you all in agreement with Shan? And Sam says, yes, sir. Very well. Devise a plan of action and submit it to me for evaluation approval. And Danny says, this isn't a game, Professor, or a classroom exercise. Stevie's life may be at stake. And he says, true, Danny, but something may be learned from every situation, whether real or artificial, deadly or benign. Only a fool refuses to take advantage of that or waste your strength in unnecessary, pointless confrontation. I'm not your enemy, Danielle. Stop treating me like one. So, all right. And so here comes Lilandra, bringing some tea for both of them here. And so I'm not going to read all this, but they're basically looking for a way to deal with Danny and come up with suggestions. Lilandra basically says it's pretty natural. It's okay. It's not the end of the world here. Xavier just reminds himself that these kids are so much younger than the X-Men. The new X-Men, but the original X-Men were kids at that time. So she starts to tickle him, and she tells him laughing is good. It'll do you a world of good, and so is this. And so they begin to passionately kiss. And so this is real quick. I love this because you can imagine what happens next, but you don't need to show it. I really like that. Nowadays you probably get like 4 pages of sex scene, but here we go. They're at Stevie's apartment here, and Sunspot is doing a phone trace. The professor helped him build it. Shan comes in, mentions her family, that they're with the priest, and asks if they're ready. And the Sunspot says yes. He says if he calls, we'll not only get the phone number, but the location as well. So you can see Stevie's right there. And she says that this is unnecessary, but there's no stopping them. And Bobby says all he has to do is call, and we've got him. And so the hours pass. And so it says here there's a few calls, but the 4th call goes through. And you can see, hi, Stevie. And so they get his address before he hangs up. And so here come the kids. And so Danny says, Rain, it's up to you. Shift to your wolf form and find the most recent scent. Let's hope no one's used this booth since our guy. So back then, you had to use telephone booth. So she takes smell. She goes, "Oh, the stench! How could people be so disgusting?" And so she recovers and go back in. Um, and it says here, through their psionic report, the Cheyenne teammate shares with all animals. We've after a boy, Stevie, someone our age. And Stevie says, "That's crazy. Soon. There must be some mistake, kids. The trail leads here, Stevie, to the high school. Look at those lights. That uh remember what night this is. You guys, that that's the spring mixer, the dance we were invited to. That was in New Mutants number 2." And so here come everyone, and they look in and they see all the kids dancing, and you can see Rain is able to sort of it says here patterns of energy, kind of like an aura thing. Um, and Danny says, "Rain's in place. She's never been to a mixer before. I think she's scandalized. We'd better make our entrance before it gets too much for her." And so the plan is for Stevie to walk in, and that should flush out the guy here. And Bobby says, "Well, that idea worked on Magnum PI. That was a show with Tom Selleck back in the day." And Bobby says, "Come on, ladies, we're wasting time." So I like this part. I'm gonna kind of move it along here. There's the girl that invited us, Diana, and I love this part. Bobby goes, "The band is awful," and Stevie says, "And do it, Roberto. You're a guest." And so either way, they're gonna go for a dance, and she's going to keep looking. But then this person here, she says fear, and fear is the one. And so it is, and it was Peter, the kid from in there. And he's like, "Oh no, you know." So he takes off, but Rain is like sort of in that wolf. So she crashes through, and everybody, of course, goes through, and they poor Shan, she kind of gets knocked over and trampled here. And so she's gonna try to possess him before it's too late. He gets in the car and takes off, and even Sam is like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen Rain like this." And of course, he says he's no match for the car, but I am. So off he goes like a rocket, and he's going through, and of course, he's about to kill this mom and a girl. So he grabs them, and they're heading straight for that building here. And so he's like, "Ah, oh, crap." And so he eventually learns how to make that turn here. Love the dry brush being used here. And suddenly he stops, and he asks for Professor X, and he tells him to try that maneuver that he taught him, where he just goes into little bursts. And so eventually it works, and they land. The mom's unconscious. The little kid is crying, but he's happy because he finally did something right, he feels like. And the poor kid can't control the car, crashes into it, and he's like, "The car's wrecked. Dad's gonna kill me." And of course, here comes the New Mutants and Stevie, and it looks like Stevie twisted her ankle, or got a bum knee. She's holding her knee, I think. So here come the kids. Wolfsbane is just in a foul mood. The place is kind of starting to fall down here because the place is going to catch on fire. He moves the car away. He uses his powers here because he's super strong when he goes into his sunspot. And all of a sudden you see the boom from the explosion kind of hurls him back here. And so look at this, TNT. Who the hell keeps TNT in a... Oh, goodness. That's all right. And so he warns the professor, who tells the kids, "Guys, got to get out." And Karma's like, "We got to save the kid." And Danny's like, "He deserves it." And she's like, "Perhaps, but it's not our place here." and he's got Rain here, and you can see here that he's kind of beating her, and Karma takes over the kid, and the place explodes, but um, the place is falling down. Um, Cannonball takes Wolfsbane out. Everybody else just goes right through. You can see that she's still got this kid under control. Bobby's holding the building. And then after everybody's out, he lets go of it and lets it crumble. So now we're going to get here to the end of our story here. A couple of pages here. So Stevie asks him why that she doesn't tell him she's gonna force him to call the police, and of course the kid says you can't prove anything, and she says, Ron, we have recordings of your voice, the callers plus the electronic voice print analysis that says they're identical. What do your parents say when they find out about this, huh? And then of course he says, no, you mustn't tell them, please, Miss Hunter. He says Peter was wrong, and so he's just leave them out. And of course, Professor X is like, the boys are near mortal terror, a fear so great it blocks my sight scans. I suggest you new mutants utilize your own abilities to get to the root of the problems. Danny assumes it means him, and so she's, of course, is able to pull people's like things, and of course he sees him kissing. He has a crush on her, but it's more than that here. And she's like, you have a very strange way of showing affection, which is, of course, now we see he's beaten by both his parents. His father hits him, and his mom allows it here. So this is how he perceives love. And he's like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you for that. And so Karma takes over again, and you can see the welts on this poor kid. He's been abused, and so Shan sees that it's have been happening for years, and and Stevie's like, release your hold, Peter. We've known each other a long time. I thought we were friends. You've got your pound of flesh. Isn't that enough? He says, call the cops. My folks. I don't care. Your parents did this. Do they hate you so much? Don't be stupid. They don't hate me at all. They love me. It's just I'm a bad boy and need to be punished. And when I started dancing, Miss Hunter, I thought you were the most beautiful woman in the world. I couldn't help loving you. You said you liked me, but when you wouldn't punish me no matter what I did, I figured you were lying, that you really didn't care, because if you loved me, you'd hit me. I wanted to get even. I'm sorry, Miss Hunter. I'm so sorry. He doesn't know how to express love, which is pretty typical. And so and she hugs him here, and he apologizes, and unfortunately they still have to call the police, and you can see him arrested, and they're gonna place him in a child welfare place here. And it says Peter will spend the next few days in a hospital. After his release, though, it could be a long time, if ever, before he's returned to his parents' custody here. So we're at the end here of our issue, so I'll just kind of finish this up. And so Stevie says, it reminds me of the old saying, you always hurt the ones you love. And so Rain says, what will happen to him? And he says, well, the physical damage can be repaired well, but the psychological and emotional is nowhere near certain. Hopefully he'll be placed in a foster home. He'll undergo therapy, which I'll assist in. Given time, he may be cured. You're never cured of that stuff. You just either have to let it go and just continue seeing therapy. I mean, those memories are very powerful. Your mind is quite powerful. So Professor X just hopes that they're able to stop this vicious cycle. And so we get here, and he talks to the New Mutants. And if you ever wish a justification for who and what and why you are, both as human beings and mutants, this is it. Not fighting for villains or evil mutants, but simply helping people. However, before you get too pleased with yourselves, I want an analysis of tonight's incident. What was done right and wrong, and how your performance could have been improved, ready for tomorrow's class. And he says here, pride has nothing to do with proficiency, and having seen all of you in action, I'm afraid you have a lot to learn. And she winks at them and says, the man has a point, kids, but for what it's worth, to me, you've done good. Next issue, Viper and the Silver Samurai. So, New Mutants, number 4, Chris Claremont, Sal Buscema, and Bob McLeod. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.